So when we do this, feel free to literally raise your hand and ask questions at any point. Each one of you probably has some sort of unique use case. I have no problem covering all of them because the presentation is not overly long, right? The implementation is almost unique to every single setup that you guys have, but overall, there's not a lot of stuff to show you. Like, it's really does a lot of magic, but there's not a lot to show. So,
are you trying to say you're going to underwhelm?
So, everyone's been asking what Top Gun means. So, there's actually two meanings. So, my dad was Air Force for 28 and a half years, and he used to buzz over my house with a fighter jet, literally like 300 feet, shaking the windows like you wouldn't believe. So, growing up, like, Superman was this guy in an F4 that would, like, rattle the windows. And then I decided, if you don't know, Bob used to travel a ton to conferences, and since I've come on board, Bob doesn't travel nearly as much. Brian Jenkins, who a lot of you know, doesn't like to travel that much to conferences, so I go to all the conferences just about, and I go to most of the top 100 presentations and RFP responses. So I'm on the road 2 to 3 months out of the year. So I decided earlier this year that I would see if I could become a pilot and fly myself to some of these places. So I actually flew Brian Jenkins, myself, and his wife up to the symposium. So that was one of the longer flights that I've ever been a pilot for. So pretty fun. So that's how I became Top Gun.
So if anybody needs a ride home,
do not call me. The plane is not big. It's not. I don't have my own. I'm renting right now. So yeah, someday. Although it was funny, my dad flew commercial also. So one of the first memories of flying a plane actually was a simulator. So he took me in on a Saturday when there was no one in a simulator, and he flew a 727. So the 727 simulator was taken. So the 747 one was not, but he didn't need the time in the 747, so he put me in the pilot seat at 12 years old, and he's like, see if you can land this bad boy. And literally, it is a huge box with hydraulics and all that, so you feel like you're flying a plane. And he was like, hey, you landed it. I didn't wreck it at 12, so. So that's my first real memory of flying a plane. All right, we're going to get started. Multiverse Bundles. So Multiverse Bundles, it's under the menu on RunSignup of Multiverse registration. There actually is multiple ways to look at bundling races. So we also have what's called event groupings, but I'm covering multi-race registration in this presentation. If you have questions about other ways, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions, and I will try and cover it. Obviously, Eric Cohn, Vice President of Strategic Business. I love helping to grow races and solve very complex problems. And the joke of the day is my family can be found at all of your races all the time, because I'm a coach. So, Corrigan Events was actually one of the organizations that is probably one of the heaviest users of multi-race bundling for their crazy king crab challenges. So if you're on the East Coast, go take a look at the Baltimore Marathon and some of the other stuff. Sadie's here, by the way, for them. But, they have driven us with a ton of input on how they wanted our platform to work for complex challenges. And this really has evolved into now series and, oh, by the way, season pass. So I'm going to cover some of that. That's just a quote from him. Here's some examples. So challenges across multiple races. So you have 2 half marathons. You want to do a challenge or a goofy challenge, if you will, between 2 different race weekends. That's really what this is all about. Okay? Race series. So you go, hey, we want you to sign up for all 3 of the triathlons, all 3 of the adventure races, whatever it may be. You can create a race bundle, and what that's going to do is literally merge. The technology is going to merge those registration paths into one, for every participant. You choose how you want that all to work merging-wise, and they answer the questions most of the time if you choose, one time. They check out one time. The data then gets dropped in, individual records into each of the 3 races. So that's sort of the general idea. Come on in. If you want to fit in, you can come in. There's 2 seats up here. There's some seats in the back. So Season Pass was something that we actually implemented after the fact. So this rolled out last August. And about December, we had some people go, hey, can you do Season Pass? And just so you understand, if you don't know how RunSignup works, we are always making minor changes. So by next week, there could be something else that we can do with multi-race, and now all of a sudden we're off in a whole other path. But Season Pass came to us. Someone said, hey, I want them to be able to select individual events underneath each race, and they can pick 5, right? And we're going to charge them $100. But any of the races across my whole season, but I only want them to be able to pick 5, so we did a min and max. And now all of a sudden you have a way to actually do a season pass. You set an overall price for your season pass of $300. They can select any 5, and that's sort of the idea of a season pass. Lastly, cross-selling. Cross-selling can actually be you guys going, hey, I have 5K and I want them to also be required to do this other one, but it also could be a joint venture. So you could go, hey, I don't own this race. They own it. I'm going to give them a call and go, hey, I've got this great half marathon, got 1,000 people. You have 1,000 people. Let's do a challenge between the 2. We're going to cross-sell. We're going to help promote each other's race. That's absolutely possible if both of you are on RunSignup right now, right? So, and we actually have some people doing it, by the way. So why bundle races? So the basic idea, obviously, is that you're going to spend a lot of money to acquire participants. So you're going to spend, let's say, $5 on a 5K, $10 on a 10K, maybe up to $20, $25 on a marathon participant, just to get them to come and register. So if you can offer them a way to sign up for multiple races right then and there in RegFlow, now all of a sudden you have effectively cut your marketing in half if the price is roughly the same for those 2 races. So that's one way. The biggest one that I can tell you right now is better data management. So right now, you don't have to set up anymore one race that is your bundle or your series or whatever it is, and then import into each of the individual buckets. That is literally completely not needed anymore. If you want to assign bib numbers, you can actually assign it as the group bundle. And you set up bib numbers at that level, or you can go, hey, you know what? I'm going to have them bib assigned per race. So now all of a sudden you have an individual record, and you let that auto bib assignment happen if you want, or you can do dynamic bib assignment at the race. However you want to handle that, all of that is possible because now each individual record for that participant, so if they're signing up for 5 races, they have 5 individual records, effectively. So you have 5 bib numbers that you can assign. Lastly, I already mentioned it, joint ventures. There's actually some others, obviously, cross-selling of your own races. So why our bundles? Already talked about it a little bit. No more importing of data. I could tell you, poor old Chris and Sadie, I mean, when you look at the Corrigan challenges, that alone was literally days of importing taken away. You do not have to do that at all at this point. They sign up and all the data is there. The accounting is a heck of a lot easier. So when you consider if someone is signing up for, I'm going to just keep using King Crab Challenge, in that world, the money was never split out. So you never really had a reconciliation that $100 should go to the Baltimore Marathon and $50 should go to the Baltimore 10 miler and $75 should go to the Frederick Half. None of that happened. With the bundles, all of that is split out. You actually have a reconciliation report that shows how much money is owed to each race. So your accountants or yourself can actually determine what the P&L is really going to add up to after the bundle happens.
And we set those by percentages, or
So it's actually based on the pricing of the event at the time that they sign up. So effectively we're saying, hey, this is what the price should have been for that race, and that's how much we break it up by. Does that make sense? So it's not going to be perfect like exactly the way you want because you can't override the accounting on it, but it's pretty darn close. Any other question on accounting? It's complex accounting. So one of the things that I would say, and I probably have it in the cons, is that you don't get it in your summary accounting report, right? There is an other, okay, and it says other multi-race bundles potentially, and then you have to go in to get the multi-race bundle accounting because it's that complex. When you think about it, we're moving money from one race to another and potentially that other race to this race. You have to account for both the ins and the outs. And that's how it's GAAP accounting, if anyone knows, T accounting. So that's how we've implemented it. Obviously, we sort of talked about it a little bit. Participants, really, if you wanted to, off the top of my head, it's questions, it's giveaways, waivers. You can merge a lot of that so they only have to answer at one time. The real idea is to take the pain away from participants and yourself as much as possible. The downside con is that accounting is a little bit more complex, but it's correct. Okay? The accounting is far better now than it was in the past.
I have a question on the t-shirt. So if they sign up after the shirt deadline, or if it's like a race series, they sign up after the shirt deadline for race 1, will they still get to pick for 2 and 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you set it up separately if you offer a different style of shirt for one race versus another?
Yes. So you get to choose how you're merging the giveaways. So you can say, I need to ask for 1 and 2, it's the same giveaway.
Right.
3 is a different one. You can set it up. You had a question, Kevin? And then you also, if you really needed to, you could also have a custom question that is a shirt size, yet again, and you could choose not to merge that. Corrigan has...
I was going to say, we do a hoodie for one race and a t-shirt for the other, so we have a similar. Okay.
And they actually have such complex stuff that they have merged on a race weekend a bundle that is only within a race, so that's using the event groupings, right? And that's why they have to ask in a custom question the second shirt, because they're so nice they give people 2 shirts, one because they did the marathon, one because they did the half, and then they can still bundle that in the multi-race. So now they're able to do really crazy stuff. Yes, Andy?
How is a participant, or what option do the participant have to then edit that registration if they choose to do something afterwards?
Good question. So the question was, how does a participant get to edit their record? And each individual race that they signed up for, they can go in and transfer individually. We do not support bundle transfers, right? So you can't go, I'm going to go from the season pass of 3 events to the season pass of 5. Don't support that. But you can go, hey, I was in the season pass of 3, and I want to transfer out of race 2, and I want to go into your adventure race over here. And you allow it? That's completely possible. If they want to edit their participant record because they did a typo and it's like first name, last name, they go into the profile and they edit it, and poof, fixed.
It all comes from the same.
Yeah. Okay. Does that answer? All right. So obviously, bib assignment is a huge one, right? That's a big headache. If you have any type of series and now all of a sudden you're trying to do bib assignments, that idea of having to import all the data, that import that you have to do, you had to do it at some point early enough to be able to do bib assignments, early enough to let people go in and edit and make changes, but late enough that it actually was worthwhile the headache of doing multi-race bundles the old way. The new way, you can let multi-race live until the event. I mean, that's what they have. Let this thing live forever. And at that point, the last race falls off and it just doesn't show anymore. You have date ranges, and you'll see it in a minute. So you can sort of control when it shows, the pricing on that. We'll iterate through. There's some limitations, and I'll cover that. Obviously, the biggest upsides, besides some of the stuff I covered, is you also have basically, you can market your products in a different way than you've had in the past, right? So now all of a sudden you can refresh by just bundling in another 5K really easy and see if you're going to get additional traction. You can actually look at your data and do a similarity analysis of your own data and go, wait, this audience is similar enough. Let's see if we do a bundle and see if we get anyone interested in it. And it costs you nothing. So you're going to find new participants in that way. All right, so we opened this basically August of last year. We've already had 52,000 registrations, and we see roughly 3.2 races per transaction. So that gives you a really big impact. One of the things that you may know it, but I'm going to tell you right now, your participants save money. So when you heard about the bad thing of sales tax, bundling your races, our registration fees are per transaction total. So now all of a sudden you're merging everything and our fees go down. So if you're selling a race at $30 and you bundle 3 of them, now all of a sudden the percentage rate is a lot lower. So at that point they're paying 1 or 2% less. That all matters. It will all be in the wash of like, okay, every economic impact, that all matters. It all adds up. So what we're really trying to do as a group is grow races and make everyone happy and make it easier for participants. This right here shows 3.2 per race or per transaction. There's some life to it. So I would definitely look at it. Now, Sadie and Corrigan have been doing this before, so now we're really just sort of seeing the real numbers of the impact. And there were some other organizations that had similar. Yes?
When you have multiple events at one event, so you have a 5K, 10K, and a half marathon all at the same time.
Yes.
And can you bundle different event dates and have them pick, I want to do the 5K bundle for your 4 5Ks?
Yes.
And
So you're saying, so the question is that can you set up multi-race bundles where you would bundle all the 5Ks across 4 different race weekends? Yes, you can do that. You can bundle all the half marathons. You could bundle, like, they have crazy stuff. I mean, you could go 5K, 10K, half. You think of it, you can dream it, check it off, add these events, and this is your bundle. Honest to goodness, you could just about figure out any category you want. What it does not do is, just so you're aware, when you say one race weekend, so in our platform, we have race and everything underneath it is called an event. Okay, so you have the race weekend and the events would be normally a distance. What this does not support is setting up a bundle of the half and the full on the same weekend. Okay, but it does support, you have race 1 and race 2, any configuration of that you want. Does that make sense? Go ahead. Yes, Michael.
So I just wanted to ask, so what I'm hearing from time to time, certainly more so, is different organizations wanting to create somewhat of a partnership.
Joint venture.
Yep.
Joint ventures, yes.
So does it offer that capability amongst
Yes.
multiple
So
organizations?
I had mentioned it earlier. You can do joint ventures. So long as both organizations are using RunSignup and have registration on RunSignup, then you can basically invite each other to do a joint venture race bundle. And then you have the choice of doing 2 models with that. One is you want to promote it in your own reg flow. So both races are saying, do the bundle. The other is that you just set up a whole other race, and now all of a sudden that is the multi-race shell, okay? And that's the only path to sign up for the bundle, yes?
You have 2 competing companies, and you don't share lists. Who gets the name?
So that's the best part, is that they can only see the people that came in through the bundle. They don't get to see all of your other participants. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I signed up for XYZ race.
You both get the name.
Oh, we both get it.
Yeah, you both get it. So
you
your
share
races, you have your unique race that you own. Yours is over here. His is over here on RunSignup. They come in and they both get records. The participant can edit this one, and he can go in and edit this one separately. It's completely separate data. And then there's accounting that shows they all came in through the bundle. This is how much is owed to each, or the equivalent thereof.
So then I have his list and get my list.
Of only the people that get in from the bundle. So you know that they got in because of your cross-promotion. Does that make sense?
We love using bundles. The challenge I have are coupon codes.
Yeah, that's in the cons.
Particularly for free coupon codes.
We got a ticket. We got a ticket for it. So
What's the problem with it?
So you cannot. So I'll cover it later on, but real quick, we don't support coupon codes on bundled events yet. Okay, it'll happen. Again, we're roughly 11 months out. So when you think about 10 years of RunSignup, just give us time. It is high on our priority list. The way that you can do pricing, and you'll see it in a minute. I'll go ahead and see if I can get to it. Can I just run through that? You had one question?
Yeah, I just was wondering if the data's in both two separate places, and say I go in and somebody emails me and says I want to update my this or that, and I edit it, does the other person then have to update it in their system, or does it? Like if the participant goes in, I would assume that it would update in both.
Yeah,
places,
so the goal is to try and really get the participant to do the work. Okay. And then if they choose to edit their name because they got married, like my wife, but we just got married, so now all of a sudden she's like, hey, I changed my name literally today. So, she goes into RunSignup's profile and changes it, and it rolls out, right? If they call you or email you, my recommendation would be, here's how you do that, right? But if you're really nice and you're really like, oh, I've got it, I'll do it, the joint venture guy doesn't get the update. Okay. Yes.
You kind of touched on the money with the joint venture. So, do you guys split the money versus the two? So if they're two separate payment accounts, one for each race, how does that work?
We do not. Both have access to the payment accounts. What I would recommend is you go to the bank and set up a joint venture checking account, and all the funds go there. You both have access to the joint venture checking account, and you have the accounting reports for it. The joint venture is you're agreeing that you're going to work with someone that you trust enough that isn't going to steal money and is going to promote your race. Otherwise, I wouldn't do a joint venture with them.
I don't think it's a trust thing. I think it's the extra work
I get it.
that I think they're struggling with.
The accounting report breaks it out so it is clear as day. Yes.
So the other way that would happen is that if I'm the payment account, I collect it, then I have to write the other guys a check for whatever I collected.
You got it.
Race.
Yep, you can do it that way too.
Okay.
It's how much trust is in that relationship. You're working together. You have to have some level of trust. And you can give them access to the reporting and go, listen, here's the summaries. I'm paying it. That's it. So, yes.
What we found, we did a bundle with our races on a Saturday and on a Sunday, and the payment account received it per the Saturday race, if that was the window that they used to register for the
correct.
The Sunday event received it
100% correct.
Yeah. So can you change that by making one of those two the primary?
Yes.
Everything gets attributed there.
Yeah.
And then it's up to that race if it's separate accounts.
So there is a way to set a checkbox more or less to say only show on primary race.
So everybody goes through that race.
Yep. So my point is that if you really wanted to, if in a joint venture scenario, you could actually set up a third fake race that is really only for, and the only downside of that scenario, and you can use this exactly the same way for season pass, is that they're actually signing up for 3 races, right? They'll bundle, and Andy's 5K and my 5K, okay? So it shows to the participant as 3 races that they've signed up for, but the bundle is dead. It's nothing. It's no cost to them. So that would be the only thing, and the same is true for the season pass. You're signing up for the season pass for EX2 Adventures, right? You get 5 races. Well, the reality is you get 6 because it's the bundle that has no value to you. Does that make sense? So that's our workaround. So this gives you a little bit, I know it's hard, but this is actually one of Sadie's bundles. You can see, very complex. Baltimore Running Festival is the primary race. They get to pick one of 3 events. Delaware Running Festival, 1 of 3. Frederick, 1 of 2. And Baltimore 10 Miler is required. So that is their BFD King Crab Challenge. And they have a lot of other challenges that poor Sadie has to manage. All right, so I know it's a little hard to see, but I'm going to run through a basics of setup. So right here, you can set up the bundle name. this is where you're asking, where do you want it to show? Primary race only. So if you want to set up a shell race or you want it to only show on Saturday, set up the multi-race bundle on Saturday, check that off. It's only going to show on Reg Flow for Saturday. If you're doing a season pass, create a season pass race, only show it on the season pass race, and it'll only show there. You push everyone to the season pass. Yes?
When you say season pass, is that similar to how you would set up like a series race? So like if, like the way we currently do it is we set up one event that is the series. It's like all 7 races. And we set up 7 races below it. If they're only registering for the series, they just check one and they pay for that. But if you're doing it this way, are you adding basically that 8th race, just like the season pass?
That's what I would do.
Okay.
Or the other option that you have, and this is how Corrigan elected to do it, and this would be my recommendation, is in a series that everyone's going to sign up for all 7 or some variation thereof less, set it up on the last one in the series. Okay? So then what's happening is that you actually go in, and we can show it on the next slide. So this is real simple, the availability, right? Start and end. So what you're going to end up doing on the start and end is you actually have multiple bundles that you're going to set up. You're going to set up series bundle 1, which is all 7, right? And then you're going to do series bundle 2, which is all 6. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Now all of a sudden the price is dropping and they're getting the equivalent of 5 races. If you want to sign up for the next 5, the last 5, you can do that. And it's all price-based or date-based, right? And you get to set the price at the same time. So does that make sense? That's the way I would approach it. But you can also set up a shell one and handle it the same way. The point of the matter is actually that you would, the reason why I like the last model, which is putting it on the last race, is 1, it doesn't have this shell. 2, all of the data is flowing correctly into that last race, and all you're doing is going into that one last race to look at the accounting, and it's always showing on all your races. That's the way I would do it. So then they're having that option for any of your 6 or 7 races in your series to see, hey, I can do the series. I can still do 5 races. And you can turn it off after, let's say, your first 3 or your first 4, whatever it is. Yes.
So what you're saying is you have a 7-race series and 3 races have already gone by, and the person says, I want to sign up for the series. They only have 4 left to choose from.
Yep. Yep. So at that point, you set up the bundle, which is 4, right? Series of 4. This is the date range, which is after the first 3 are done. And now, so it's a little hard to read, but effectively, you're going to do min and max. So in this scenario that you're talking about, you want all 4 races that are left. So you do 4 and 4, and that basically requires them to sign up for all 4. And you would go in and select specifically, hey, this is the races. You can add another race, and you add all 4 races in there, and you're done. I mean, that is as quickly as you're done with the bundle. There is one more, obviously, the pricing. So pricing is percentage off or dollar amount off, or very much like everything else, set up registration periods. So that's why when we look at the cons of we don't offer coupon codes, we're sorry, we don't offer club discounts, but we technically do. There's a small gotcha, which is the primary race is where club discounts would actually get applied, but not all the others. So, yes, John.
Can you join or create teams across bundles?
I'm pretty sure you can, but it depends on the type of team. So I'm positive we don't support corporate teams, but a social team you can.
Yeah, just an aggregate team, you get those?
Yes. Okay. I don't remember off the top of my head on the UI of how that works when you have 5 with teams. So like you're trying to sign up for 5 races with 5 of them that would be teams joining. I just don't remember how that works off the top of my head. We don't have that very often, but I know it supports at least one event with teams. Let's see. So pricing, it is a little bit generic. We're 11 months in. Just trust me, we will iterate. Coupon codes, I would have a feeling is going to be the next big pricing addition.
just to reiterate, so if I do a 3-race series, I'm going to put my price in there, my discounted price for that. But when I apply those to the 3 events, I'm not going to say 33% goes to each one. I'm going to say, I'm going to pick that dollar amount and say this much goes to race 1, this much goes to
We
race
do
2.
that for you, actually.
Okay.
So if you're saying it's 10% off, we're going to take 10% off of the current price, and then we're going to apply that at each individual registration record. So the amount that's saved there is going to be 10% off the current price, or we're going to take that dollar amount and split it up correctly, as correctly as we can, to go, this is the correct amount that should be recorded for accounting purposes. Trying to do the best at covering it, because I don't know how much more time we have, but so this is what a registration flow would look like. So this is one of the race series in South Florida or Central Florida that has all 4 races, and it's a 12K, all 4 races a 6K. You check off the 12K, and this is actually what shows. There's no selection because they're saying they want them in only the 12K, right? You actually would have the option to go, you pay $200 and you can choose to do the 12K or the 4K. We really don't care if you want to do it that way. They chose to go hard into just being a 12K series, and here's the 6K, excuse me. Here's the 4 races for the 6K. So if I would have clicked on this, it would have showed 1, 2, 3 for the 6Ks. Does that make sense?
Are all races having to be open, or just race number 1 currently open for registration?
That is a great question. You have to have all races open, but you technically don't. So you can use private races in a bundle. Okay? So you can actually go, you know what? I'm going to set up a bundle, and I want to get people into a sellout race before it's really open to the public. So I'm going to create a private race for them to get in, put it in a bundle. Now all of a sudden, they're getting into this special offer, right? And that's sort of a cross-sell. Yes, Andy?
So using like our backyard burn running races as an example, so it almost seems like the same as this, 4 races. But when I go in and I'm looking at like, I want to register for just race number 1.
Mm-hmm.
When I see 5 mile, 10 mile plus all 4 races as like my 3
so what I would
options
do,
for events.
So Andy runs a whole bunch of different series in Northern Virginia, and he's asking, what would I see as a participant?
What does the user see? Well,
Yeah, as a participant, what would I see as a participant? I would set up each individual race, right? And then all of a sudden you could have a 5K and a 10K in there, and I would move the bundles to the top.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden the bundle is showing, if you want to do my series, you click here, do the series. If not, you choose for this one race. This is race number 1 only, and that's it.
But then it's not a bundle.
Correct. But that's okay, because he's trying to get people in that only want to do the 5K this weekend, right? But if they want to do the bundle of this weekend's 5K and the next 4 weekends of 5K, they choose up here. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, it looks like these people do it the same.
Yeah, and we can work through that with you on how to do it. Yes.
But the race next weekend is not alone is not showing on the same page.
Exactly, because that is another race reg. So you would, if you were to go to race number 2, it would show 6K, race number 2, 12K, race number 2, but you could actually have these above it also.
How is the runner going to know where that page is?
That's how you promote it. So his is backyard burn. Backyard is it?
Backyard burn.
Backyard burn series, spring and fall, and he would go backyard burn number 1. Click here to register. They click there to register, and you go, do you want to sign up for all 4? If not, here's race number 1. You can do it. They go back to ex2.com, back to number 3, because they didn't go to 1 and 2. Click on that. Do you want to do the 2 races, 3 and 4? And you can actually label this any way you want. You can do the strike-through pricing any way you want, right? So now all of a sudden, you can show that, and now all of a sudden they get in to those 2 races, 3 and 4, and you're promoting it as, hey, if you want to sign up for this 1 race, here it is. You're doing all the marketing to try and get people into that 1 race. And all we're trying to do is go, don't forget you can cross-promote all 4 of your series. Yes, Michael?
Aside from a custom reporting solution, is there a way to accommodate an athlete that may not necessarily register within the series, within the bundle, registers instead for each individual race. Therefore, technically, according to the organization, may qualify for the special medal or whatever it might be.
So your question is actually more of a CRM question. That's our long-term solution to your question, and there's two variants to that question actually. So you ask in. More importantly is technically asking out just as important, right? So they transfer out, they defer out, and now all of a sudden you don't want to give them a medal because they're not a part of the challenge series, or you didn't finish all 4, or you didn't register for all 4. You want to cut your costs. So I believe for some of them, I can help you right now with our CRM and show you a workaround with a unique login, more or less, for the 2 races. You select which 2 races, you set loyalty equal to 2, and you're close, right? I'm guessing we're 3 to 6 months out to be able to actually just do it and save the report, and it's there, and you have one login. You can look across all of them. You can do everything that Sadie would want, and she'll do backflips.
Well, we actually have a workaround for that same thing because we have a lot of people who can't commit all at once. So we have a custom question with a drop-down menu, and then I just pick King Crab Challenge from there, and I can download a report of all those people. So just a custom question is our workaround until the CRM is ready.
Yeah. So there are workarounds. It depends. They're huge in terms of challenges and multi-race bundling. There's actually some bigger ones than theirs actually in terms of the total number of registrations that we've had. I think the largest one that I believe we've had 3,000 registrations across roughly 1,000 bundled purchases. So this is a small screenshot, but this gives you an idea of all the different things. So you have display settings, and that will allow you to change the word bundle, whatever you want, right? You have giveaway settings, merging. So now all of a sudden you can merge those t-shirts as I talked about, questions, add-ons, and then bib assignment. The bib assignment is, do you want to assign bibs based on the bundle, or do you want to assign bibs based on the individual race? And then you can add a range of bibs. I'm trying to finish real quick. Here are the limitations. Guess what? No coupon codes, right? You cannot transfer in and out of the bundle. Sort of covered that already. So we covered the other one we just did, which is individuals that transfer out of one race or in based on now all of a sudden they're really qualifying for it. We don't really have a way to monitor that and provide it. And then lastly, the accounting report is obviously in the race that you set up the multi-race bundles, but it's not in the summary report that you're used to just going, oh, this is so easy. Look at our summary report. It's perfect, right? There's a little line item that says, sorry, buddy, you're going to have to go get all the ins and outs. And that's just T accounting to get it 100% accurate for you. Yes?
Well, the first thing you said was if you want to bundle these triathlons, does it handle USAT?
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Matter of fact, we've updated, so USAT, I'm actually one of the primary contacts for USAT since I'm strategic, right? So I know Victoria personally and Samantha. And one of the things that they changed is that we're allowed to update as frequently as we want, but we know that they have a timeout of about 15 minutes. So what I would recommend is if you're doing a bundle for USAT and a series or whatever, you set it up so that you notify your people to go ahead and get your annual membership updated. And if you're not 100% updated, do it on USAT's website, not on ours, because we're live connecting for those validations. If they update it on ours, it's a 15-minute lag potentially, so they would have to update it on ours before they could go to another race and use it, right? It shouldn't be a problem for multi-race bundle because they are updating it in the race that they're going to use it on. But just as a use case scenario, I would say go to USAT, update it. We're not carrying that much as we're making the money on that. And then from that point, we're validating USAT memberships live. Yes?
And set it up on the last race so that their memberships get all the way to the end of the series. Make sure you set it up on the last race up first.
Yeah. Like I had mentioned earlier. For a series, I would do it on the last race. It's a lot easier. That way you know that the membership is valid.
Split the reporting across all, say it's a 3-race bundle, all 3.
What reporting are you asking about?
USAT reporting. That's part of RunSignup that gives you the number of miles that went to that particular race sanction.
I'll have to look into that. I can't answer.
If they have an annual membership, it's going to validate that through the last race. If they don't have an annual membership, they can purchase it or they can buy 3 one-day licenses.
And that the 3 show up on each individual race. Thank you. Again, there's a lot of complexities to our platform, so I don't want to make sure I misrepresent. So, any other questions? Hopefully this was informative. Eric at RunSignup, if you don't have my email address and you're like, I have no idea.